Hey guys, what's going on? So today I'm talking about like attitudes and stuff in the business, right? And how you can adjust your attitude to be like more successful, and basically just more active, less fearful, all that type of stuff, right? So the state of fear, it's all about your perception of it, right? So whether or not you find contacting like scary, I'm going to use that as the example because a lot of people do tend to find it quite intimidating, I guess. Um, but if you're out there and you're nervous, right? Nervousness and excitement have the exact same like physiological, which means like you behave the exact same way when you're excited or nervous, right? And the little trick I've learned is that you can just tell your brain that you're excited about it, not nervous about it, right? And just repeating it over and over to yourself, it helps, right? Because it kind of lets you like harness the energy of your nervousness, your nervous energy, right, into excitement, into enthusiasm, and people feel that when you're contacting them, right? So like if you're not fearful, you kind of don't have the edge, right? If you're scary, but if you're afraid, but you can channel it, you have the edge over the people that just aren't scared, right? Because you have that natural energy about you because you're a little bit like intimidated and stuff, right? But by convincing yourself it's excitement, it comes out more as enthusiasm rather than like fear, right? So basically that state of fear, it's all about like your perception of it, right? So like when you're like, I don't know, when you're in the jungle as a primate like millions of years ago, right? You're hunting, right? You could be nervous or you could be excited that you're about to eat, right? But nervousness has this tendency to feed into negativity and become like a level of fear, right? And when it becomes a level of fear, the tendency that starts to happen is that we kind of get paralyzed by it, right? Which obviously causes a lack of activity. So that stops us from being able to complete the hunt, complete the kill, and feed ourselves and our family and our tribe, whatever, right? So obviously it's not quite as dramatic as that when you're in the business, but like it can be, it definitely can be, right? Like if you're allowing your fear and your nervousness to grow and to become like debilitating and stop you from doing the things that you know you need to be doing, right? When it gets to that point, you kind of need to take a step back, counsel with your upline, reframe that fear in your mind as excitement, and overcome it, right? You overcome it not by just jumping to where you want to be, but you overcome it by doing like the small tasks, right? So if you've just got rejected like thousands of times and the fear is just like debilitating now to the point where when you talk your voice shakes, right? You need to take a step back, you need to talk to your upline, and you kind of need to establish like stepping stones of how you're going to overcome it, right? So that stuff can be like as simple as like just having 10 conversations with people, right? Every day. And it doesn't need to be a conversation oriented around the business. It can just be a simple conversation, right? And by doing that, you lower your fear and you start to like reframe how easy it is to have a conversation with someone and how easy it is to make a friend out of someone, right? Because that's all we do when we contact, right? We're just out there trying to make friends, right? And then once we make these friends, we extend them the greatest opportunity in the world, right? Which is the business, obviously. So the other thing I'm going to talk about is the power of association, right? It's like the law of association is if you're in a room with four like geniuses, you're going to become the fifth, right? So that's the law of association, and it works in the business, and it's not just for like geniuses. It can work for successful people like it does in the business. If you're an unsuccessful person and you're around successful people all the time, like they don't get successful by accident, right? It's their attitudes, it's their behaviors, and it's their habits that make them successful. So by being around those people and seeing all their habits, behaviors, the way they think, little tidbits of information, you're going to become one of those successful people just because they've opened up to you as to how they operate, right? So you're going to learn how to operate to have what they have, right? So the law of association is a very, very real thing, right? But it also works the other way around, right? So if you're just constantly hanging around losers that are like, they're just going nowhere and you can tell that they're going nowhere, but they're your friends from like, I don't know, primary school, so you feel like attached to them, right? If you just keep hanging around those people, you're going to become one of them, right? It works both ways. So if you're around those successful, intelligent people, you're going to become one of them. But if you're also around those losers that are just, I don't know, just drinking booze all week long and just watching TV, debating about like PlayStation games or something, I don't know. If you're around those people, you're going to become one of them, right? And you're not going to go anywhere, right? And if you're listening to this, and if you're building the business, then I think that's evidence enough that you want to go somewhere, right? So you need to stop hanging around those people, or at the very least, you need to limit your hangouts with them, right? You want to be hanging out with them like, you don't want to be hanging out with them, but if you absolutely can't get over like leaving them behind, well, you need to talk to your upline. But like, I'd recommend hanging out with them like 10% as much as you hang around your successful people, right? And then just dialing it back until it's 0, right? Because you need to cut them out. You just do. You need to either elevate them to your level or cut them out. And honestly, elevating them to your level is extremely difficult, right? Because you can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped, right? You can't help save someone that doesn't want your life raft, right? And yeah, so that's kind of the law of association, right? So the other thing I'll touch on is why people get into the business, right? So most people get into the business not because of the money, not because of the numbers that they're shown or the plan that they're shown. They get into the business because of the person that shows them the plan, right? So that's kind of where the logic and the emotion kind of come out, right? Because if we were going on logic, all you would listen to is this person competent? And then you'd move on to how like valid the plan is, right? So it would be more so based on the plan than the person in that instance of logic, right? But people are emotional, right? So they're listening to the plan to make sure that you're not trying to like fool them, right? But more importantly than that, they're listening to you and they're paying attention to you to make sure you're not trying to fool them, right? All they want to know about the plan is that it's legit, right? That it's going to work. And then what they actually want to know about you is most of the plan, right? They want to know that you're a person of integrity and trustworthy, right? Because those are the two most important qualities in a leader when a follower is deciding to follow that leader, right? So you need to have those qualities and you need to showcase them to some degree, right? When you're showing the plan, okay? And if you're not there yet, it's okay. It's okay, right? Personal growth is like, it's a journey, right? You never arrive at your destination and you're always trying to improve, right? Because you're never truly perfect at your like personal growth and at your character, right? You're not perfect, but you definitely improve over time, right? And the most important thing is to just have an attempt, right? With everything I talk about, with everything you get from your upline and everything you know you should be doing, like book CDs, association, code contacting, all that sort of stuff, the most important thing that you do is not that you're perfect in when you do it. It's that you have an attempt, right? Because no one's going to be perfect the first time they do something, right? So you need to have that attempt so you have somewhere to build from and get better from, right? Because we're not in the business of being perfect. We're in the business of improving and getting results, right? And only through having an attempt and gradually improving are you going to get yourself results, right? The other thing that I like about the business, probably the last thing I'll talk about, I think it's really cool that the only reason that you and I, my upline, my downlines, the only reason we're not more successful is for a lack of focus, right? Because if we focus more, we'd be more successful, we'd have more money, we'd have more people in the team, we'd be doing more activity, and we'd have the like consequences, I guess, of that, right? So the only reason we don't have all those things is for a lack of focus and a lack of activity, right? And I think that's really cool, because when I was a kid, I used to be obsessed with being rich, right? I used to be obsessed with having a lot of money when I'm older. And I couldn't wait, so I would try and come up with all these inventions, right? One of them was like a shower that dispensed soap out of the top, right? Like, and I was just like a little kid. I was just like, I need to make this. I'm going to be rich if I make this, you know? And so I think that it's very cool that in the business, like, because that my idea that could work or it could not work, right? But either way, I need to invest a large amount of capital in making the prototype, marketing it out, copywriting it, all that sort of stuff, right? I need to invest quite a large amount of money to do that. And even then, it's probably got a pretty low success rate, right? But the business takes all that guesswork out, right? And I think it's really cool that it basically just takes all that guesswork out, and all you have to do is do the things that other successful people have done, right? Like that is literally all you have to do. You don't have to innovate like I was trying to do when I was a little kid. You have to duplicate, right? And that is so easy because these people, your uplines, are willing to show you how to duplicate, right? And what other business in the world is like that, right? The last thing I'll talk about is if you're not working towards your own dream, if you don't have it written down and you don't have stepping stones of how you're going to get there, then you're involved in someone else's, right? If you're working like a job, a 9 to 5, that's a part of someone else's dream, right? You're just getting paid for your time, but they're getting the real money, the equity type money out of it, right? So you need to, I'm not going to say quit, but you need to start working the business properly, right? And you need to work towards your dream. And if you don't have the why, which is your dream, if you don't have the why of why you're doing this business, you need to establish that, and then you need to get busy, right? That's everything. Have a good night, guys.